Hello, hello. Okay, let's do lesson 2. Today we're going to talk about the product rule and the quotient rule. So remember, the product and quotient rules, product is for when we've got any sort of multiplication that we need to deal with, and quotient is when we've got division that needs to be dealt with. And a lot of times, but not always, we can avoid the product or quotient rule by doing a little bit of algebra, but that's not always the case, which is why we're going to learn them. So let's start with the product rule. For the product rule, if you have a function, and a lot of times when we refer to f of x within another function like we're about to, we'll use capital F of x to like differentiate. So if we've got a function capital F of x, and that function is made up of f of x times g of x. So we've got a composite function. So two things. Then the derivative of f of x is going to be our little song we like to sing. Remember, we like to sing G, F, F, G. And what that means, then we're going to take the derivative of the first F and the second G, and we are going to add them together. So this means we're going to say G, F, F, G. So G of x times F prime of x plus f of x times g prime of x, g, f, f, g. The quotient rule is similar. Quotient says that if f of x equals f of x divided by g of x, then f prime of x equals the same thing, g, f, f, g, but it's g times the derivative of f prime minus f of x times g prime of x, and that's all divided by g squared. Ring a bell? Does everybody remember this? Okay, so let's look at that, what that looks like in practice. Okay, let me erase this and let's just talk about product rule for a second. So product rule, let's say we've got f prime of x equals, I don't know, x squared plus 4x times the square root of x. Now, I understand we could distribute this and multiply this out and get ourselves to a polynomial that would not require product rule, but for the sake of practice, we're gonna use product rule here. So I'm gonna call my first function in here my f of x, and I'm gonna call the second function g of x. Now, this radical situation is going to pose a problem, and we need to rewrite that as an exponent, so x to the 1/2. Okay, so here we go. So, actually, why don't you pause, see if you can work this, come back when you're ready, and I'll work it for you. Okay, ready, pause. Okay, ready, we're back. All right, so f prime of x is going to be, remember we said we're going to go g, f, f, g, add them together, derivative of the last two terms. Okay, so we're going to rewrite g of x to start, and that's just going to be the square root of x times f prime. Well, f prime is 2x plus 4 plus f, which is x squared plus 4x. Oops, too bad I can't write. Times g prime of x. Well, g prime of x is 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. Okay, so that is our unsimplified derivative We can clean this up. We should clean this up. We don't need to do too much here. And if I asked you to leave it unsimplified, you could just stop. I would probably just leave this right now as the square root of x times 2x plus 4. We can distribute here, although we don't really have to. But I'm going to go ahead and rework this situation. So this is going to be 1 over 2 root x times x squared plus 4x. And you're done. Okay, quotient rule. Let's try quotient. So quotient, we said, is the same deal. It is g, f, f, g. Take the derivative of the last two, subtract, divided by g squared. Now, this subtraction, remember, causes an issue because that subtraction impacts this whole thing. So this is, you really almost need to put brackets around this, right? Because it's going to make you subtract all of it, especially if you've got some addition within it. All right, let's do an example. So let's say we've got f of x equals x squared, I don't know, plus 4 divided by 3x to the 4th. Okay, so our f of x is the top, and our g of x is the bottom. So f prime, ooh, pause. Work it yourself, see if we get the same answer. Okay, pause. Okay, we're back. All right, so f prime of x. So g, plain old g, is 3. Actually, if this trips you up, write yourself like a little template. G, f, f, g, g squared. And then like fill in the blanks. So g was 3x to the 4th times f prime, which is 2x, minus, now be careful here, f, which is x squared plus 4, times g prime, which is 12x to the 3rd. All of that over 3x to the 4th squared. Oh, I forgot my outside bracket. Now, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. This negative here, if we didn't have these square brackets, that negative would only say minus x squared plus 4, right? So that negative applies to everything. So when we clean this up, and we will clean this up because it's a little bit easier to clean up, 2x times 3x to the 4th is going to be 6x to the 4th. Minus, we need to first distribute here. So if this is in brackets, 12x to the 5th, and then plus 48x to the 3rd, all over this. Now, you have to square this whole thing, right? So that's like saying 3x to the 4th times 3x to the 4th. Well, that's 9. And x times to the 4th times x to the 4th is how many? X to the 8th. Let's pull this together here. I'm not going to rewrite it, but if we're going to subtract, this is going to stay minus 12x, and then this, we can get rid of this bracket, and we need to switch that addition sign to negative. So is there anything else we can do? We can keep cleaning this up. Can we factor out some x's? Hey, I forgot this x right here. This is going to be an issue if you guys aren't like here in person to tell me where I've messed up. Okay, so we can factor out an x to the 3rd from the whole top, which is going to leave 6x minus 12x squared minus 48. And then we've got this 9x to the 8th on the bottom. And if we cancel here, we end up with, let's put this in descending order. So negative 12x squared plus 6x minus 48 all over 9x to the 5th. Is that what you got? Cool. Okay, let me give you a couple of just really nice little practice problems. So this is lesson 2 practice. Let's find, so remember this word, differentiate, means to take the derivative. So you're going to go y equals 4x squared plus 2, 3x cubed minus 1. Y equals the square root of x times 5 minus the square root of x. Oops. And then, sorry. Y equals square root of x plus 2 over the square root of x minus 2. And number 4, y equals 3x cubed plus 1 over 2 minus x. Okay, there's your practice ones. Give those a whirl. See how they go. Goodbye.